Hello and welcome into the RotoWire Fantasy Soccer Podcast. My name is Andrew Laird, Senior Soccer Editor of RotoWire, joined on this Friday, June 25th by Ryan Belongia to talk about Saturday's two-game Euro slate. We've officially made it to the knockout rounds. Ryan, the first thing I wanted to ask you is, with these knockout rounds, we have to have a winner. And so we obviously have the possibility for extra time and penalties. How much weight do you put into that when you're building your lineups?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Normally I think about it quite a bit. I think of maybe FA Cup games that we've had or Champions League games that we've had that are going to go 120 minutes and might have penalties. It makes guys that are going to be out there the whole time, or at least that you think will be more appealing targets. Just speaking about showdowns, it always makes goalies more appealing targets too, because there has to be a winner. I know this is a two-game slate, but I guess it's like if the game's projected to be close, it's nice knowing that a goalie from that game should get there. It's not going to end in a draw. But other than that, I think it makes targeting guys that are going to be out there. It's definitely something to consider. It's a big difference when someone plays 60 minutes and someone plays 120 minutes. You're getting a whole nother game out of them. And usually the second half of the game is more open, might have more fantasy points. There's more chances and more opportunities sometimes. So it's definitely something to keep in mind.
Okay. I love that. We may get one in this on this two-game Saturday slate, but it seems most likely that it's something we'll have to consider as the tournament moves on, because when we get really good teams against really good teams, then we get closer games. So anyway, jumping into these two games, we've got Italy, the biggest favorite against Austria, and then Denmark favored against Wales. I feel like Wales has been a nice thorn in our side for much of this tournament, and hopefully tomorrow is the last day we have to deal with that. But totals, as expected, or as they've been for the whole tournament, are relatively low. The Denmark-Wales one is breathtakingly low. But I think if you're trying to play the 120-minute game, that Denmark-Wales one sure looks like it could be the one, at least of the two on this slate.
Yeah. Denmark-Wales playing in the Netherlands, the total's sitting at 2. Just off the top of my head, I think it's the second lowest total of the tournament. Denmark minus 115 favorites, and then Italy, Austria being played at Wembley, 2.25 total, so still low, little higher. And Italy is minus 206. So Denmark and Italy favorites. Oh man. Yeah,
You're good on that?
No, let me check it real quick. Sorry.
That's all right. We can, thankfully, with audio podcasts, we can go a little different there. But I think...
Okay, yeah, sorry, that's annoying. So we live in flat 1, and people treat our building like the concierge. When there's packages for other building, it's really annoying.
No worries.
But okay.
So Denmark, Wales, low total. That's where we were. Italy, Austria.
So I was just gonna finish with at least for cash and even a little bit for tournaments, floors are going to come into play a little more if we don't think there's going to be a lot of goals. So that's definitely something to consider. Okay,
that makes sense. Jumping into the forwards, every Italy slate we kind of are presented with this. Do you play Berardi or Insigne? Do you play both? Do you try to get a little Immobile there? I think none of them started the third group stage game, but Italy were already through, so they're fully expected to be back in that starting 11. I think it's weird. I think Berardi and Insigne are relatively equal. Insigne is like $400 cheaper, And that's what I think separates him. But like $400 really isn't that much. But for some reason, I just think everybody's going to go to Insigne. He has been taking a few more set pieces, but I mean, it's like, it's occurrence of where the corner is, not so much that they're saying, he's taking the first 4 and then Berardi takes the next. So I think Insigne is definitely the more popular of the two, and Immobile probably should be more popular than either of them in tournaments. You read it that way?
Yes, exactly that way. Insigne and Berardi splitting set pieces. It's basically, like you said, 50-50 as to who's going to get more. It just depends where the set piece is or which side the corner is on.
Right.
Both are expensive too.
They are.
I think people will go to Insigne, $400 price savings, and maybe a little bit of like name recognition on his side. I also agree, Immobile, better play for tournaments. The first thing I was, when trying to build a cash lineup, we had been playing both these Italy forwards in cash, Insigne and Berardi. And on a 2-game slate, where we're probably not looking at Austria, I thought it might be something worth doing. But after I looked at it, I don't think so. I mean, they're very expensive, and they don't, Austria doesn't give up a ton of chances. And I don't know, if you just go all the way down to maybe the cheapest guy in consideration, Braithwaite, there's a $4,000 difference between him and Berardi. And I guess the way I thought of it is less than 90 minutes of Berardi better than 90 minutes of Braithwaite with a $4,000 price savings? I don't think so. I mean, not even from a floor perspective, really. So where did you go with second forward?
I'm snickering because I went with Braithwaite, but the way that I ended up there was less. Well, I didn't think it was really possible to do Insigne and Berardi, and I was actually wondering if, given the scarcity of goals on this slate, that it might be more optimal to play Insigne and Immobile instead of Insigne and Berardi. That if that game has 1 or maybe 2 goals in it, why don't I just get the guy who's most likely to score the goal? The difficulty with both Insigne and Berardi is they're almost guaranteed not to play 90. I mean, we know that Chiesa and Bernardeschi are waiting to come on. Belotti is there for Immobile too. I don't think there's a great chance that they play 90. And with Wales, Denmark, there's definitely more of a chance that one of those forwards, Braithwaite, Poulsen, if he starts, which I assume he does, goes 120. It's unlikely, but it's more of a chance than the Italy guys, for sure.
Right.
And so it's exactly kind of what you said. Would I rather the possibility of 120 for one guy or 60 to 65 for another, and I get a $4,000 savings? I think whoever the cheapest Denmark forward is tomorrow is going to be popular in cash, even though their floors are basically zero.
Yeah.
Maybe not zero, but it's low.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Yeah. Just, about their floors, I don't want to say they're good, but you'd assume they'd be on top against Wales. I mean, Wales has struggled for the most part. So yeah, 4,000, that's a lot. I hadn't considered Immobile though. That's what I was thinking about. If you get a goal, it might carry your lineup a long way on a slate where there might not be many goals. So that's interesting. You're considering him as the second forward?
It was more I was considering him over Berardi.
Oh yeah. Right. Okay. So even that, I would almost like him better than Berardi too.
Yeah, that's the way I was looking at it. I don't think the right construction is is 2 Italian forwards, though. I think you're just giving up too much salary that kind of handcuffs you in the other spots. depending on where lineups end up, I guess it could change. But I'm not sure there's enough value on this slate where you can be spending like 21,000, 22,000 on two players. I was going to save this for later just because we usually talk about it later, but I think the easiest, I don't know if it's a hedge really, but the easiest way to ensure 10 points from an Italian player is with Donnarumma. Like, I think that you can spend 5,700 on Donnarumma and you're in the ballpark of where Berardi probably ends up. And so if you only want to play one Italian forward and their goalie, I think that's actually much more optimal than two high-priced Italian forwards and literally any other goalie on the slate.
Yes, I agree 100%. 21,000, more than 21,000 is just too much to try to get two of those Italy forwards into your lineup. And Donnarumma, yeah, I mean, that's a good hedge. Hedge is probably the right word. For not that much more expensive than the other goalies to possibly get 10 points and a clean sheet. I mean, maybe more than 10 points. Italy hasn't allowed a goal yet. So right. Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense. Spending all that money at forward it's going to make the rest of your lineup suffer.
Yeah. I mean, we have guys at the other positions that we probably want to prioritize, at least in Absolutely. Cash. And so you basically can't do that if you pay up for two of Insigne, Immobile, or Berardi. Have you just thrown out the Austria guys?
Yeah, for tournaments, that's what I was thinking about. So Italy have not allowed a goal in the tournament. Austria, not great at scoring goals. So just when you consider that, it makes them a tough target. That being said, it's a 2-game slate, and they're certain to be the least popular of the forwards. I don't mind it, but it's not, I'll probably look to get different somewhere else. I will say that like a guy like Sabitzer, he's played 90 minutes every game of the tournament. He would be one of those 120 guys, should it happen in that game. 6,700 is a good price. And listen, to another thing that makes them maybe okay is that we might not get goals from the forwards on this slate. So it might not even be that bad. You might, a floor game might be enough to be the second highest scoring forward. I mean, just think if we get one goal from a forward out of the 2 games, salary savings might be more important in that case. So there's definitely some merit, and it might not hurt you too bad if you wanted to do it. And the leverage that they would bring definitely makes it worth it. That being said, it's definitely not where I would want to go first. Gareth Bale looks like a better tournament play to me. We talked a little about the big players for big games. Wouldn't shock me if Bale comes up with something here. It's a good price. Another guy who is going to be out there. What do you think?
I feel like we're getting to the point where Bale just feels so trappy every time, but like he's got to hit at some point. He's totally that guy that you can play over and over again, and you just have to hope that you still have money left by the time he actually does something. But
yeah, I mean, he scored 29 against Turkey with a missed penalty. So, Turkey, I know, one of the most disappointing teams in the tournament. I guess I missed Kiefer Moore, 4,800. We think he starts? Yeah.
Well, no, thankfully, because they're
no, yeah. 4,800, that's very cheap. Wouldn't mind going for a goal there. And then you really don't even need one. You can just use your salary savings to catch up also. So that makes sense. But yeah,
I think a Kiefer Moore 0 doesn't kill you.
No, Kiefer Moore 0 really doesn't kill you. I mean, you might get zeros from the Austria forwards. The Italy forwards have prohibitive salaries, and you probably have one of the Denmark guys, and only one of the Denmark guys gets there most likely. So yeah, no, I like that. I like that call.
It's basically like, is Braithwaite worth $2,500 more than Moore?
This is a tough question, though. You can make the argument for yes. Denmark is definitely the better team. They're the favorite. He'll get you more floor points. Those tall strikers, aerial targets like Kiefer Moore, we know they really don't have floors for the most part. So yeah, the Denmark strikers are better. Are they worth almost 4,000 more? I don't know. I guess that's what you got to decide. 4,800 though, that's very cheap. So you're right. He's not going to kill you no matter what.
I mean, it's possible that, if he doesn't start, then Sabitzer's the cheapest starting forward at 6,700. Like, this isn't a slate where we can get away with a $3,500 forward. He's just not there. And so
right.
Moore's the only way that Moore really gets there, and for him to get there is like 5 points at most, probably, is you just hope that when Wales have a corner, he gets his head on it.
Yeah.
And Schmeichel saves it. So you get your shot on target.
I made fun of his floor a little bit, but he played 90 minutes against Turkey and scored 6.5 points. Again, Wales dominated Turkey basically that game, but 4,800, very cheap, and it lets you do whatever you want with the rest of your lineup. So I think it's a fine option.
Yeah, the 13.7 with a goal against Switzerland is impressive, but I guess he had a yellow card, so there's that. But yeah, if he starts, I think he is popular only because he's cheap.
Right. So. Yeah, I'd expect him to be a relatively popular play for that price.
Right. I'm just going to assume that Daniel James is really popular in cash games. 6,300 for a lot of Wales' set pieces. They are underdogs, but he's significantly cheaper. And the forward pool, I feel like this is the first slate where we don't have like a lot of forwards that we want to prioritize. I feel, we were getting the whole, Tony Cruz and I was trying to think of what was that other.
Midfield.
Bruno was on that slate, and the Belgium guys. Was it Belgium?
Yep.
Germany? Yeah, either way. But this one, I feel like there aren't that many guys that you're like, oh, I have to get this one in. And that kind of just makes Daniel James one of the guys you end up getting in.
Yeah. It makes Daniel James, I guess, stick out as the top midfield play.
What a world.
What a world. We're going to have to talk about David Alaba.
Yes.
Who finally didn't play center back in the last round against Ukraine and promptly smashed.
Absolutely smashed.
Absolutely smashed. He could have had a better, he was on pace for more than that, but 14 crosses, 4 shots assisted, and he chipped in with another assist. The matchup against Italy, bad, obviously.
Yes.
They haven't allowed a goal all tournament. They have a great midfield. They're good at keeping possession. They don't allow a lot of chances. That being said, I think you could make an argument for Alaba based on the fact that floors might be more important. I will say that I prefer James. So yes, I agree that James, he seems like he'll be the most popular midfielder, and probably rightfully so. So where do you go after him?
I think the Alaba discussion is less about whether you play him instead of James and more if you play him with James.
Yeah, actually, good point.
And I I think that he will be semi-popular in cash. Alaba, like the floor is just absurd. Obviously, it's matchup dependent, and the matchup against Italy is terrible. But they have to win. Like they can't draw, and a loss knocks them out. And so if they fall behind, it's Austria can't just sit back and do nothing. Like they have to attack. And that doesn't mean that they're going to be able to do it, but the game script is likely there that Alaba is going to have to attack. And maybe he starts the game at center back in the hopes that that somehow helps them keep Italy out. That's actually the worst case scenario, that like he starts at center back and they're doing really well defensively because he's back there. I mean, he's dead at that point. And you just have a barrage of Italy floor points because they're just firing shots left and right. But if Italy scores early, like that doesn't mean Italy takes their foot off the gas, but that's like a perfect scenario for Alaba. And so I think he's absolutely reasonable in cash. I think if you're playing Kiefer Moore, then like Alaba becomes a lot easier to play, like salary.
Yeah. You bring up a great point about the likely game script for that Austria-Italy game. If Italy score, a first half goal, Alaba's got a very good chance to be cash optimal with them chasing that game. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So yeah, the question of whether to play him and James together. The lineup that I threw together quickly before we started, I didn't have Alaba in it. I wanted to get your thoughts on this one, especially. I was looking at Verratti. 90 minutes last game. He had a great game. Took a few set pieces, $1,000 cheaper, and playing for the favorite. So how do you, I guess, compare, contrast those two?
Verratti playing 90 in a game that basically didn't matter. Not that I don't think he plays, but like playing back-to-back 90s feels like a lot to me for a guy who just came back from injury.
Yeah.
That being said, he's miles ahead for me. Like if I was thinking of playing Verratti, which I am, if he doesn't start, that absolutely does not mean I'm going to Locatelli or Barella. Like I'm not playing anyone else. Jorginho is in the discussion, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Amazingly, we keep talking about how he might be on pens, and he's the only one of those three who hasn't scored yet. I think the Verratti discussion, it not only is do you play him over Alaba, but do you also play him over or with Spinazzola? Because they're basically the same price. Mm-hmm. And it's definitely a 3 midfielder or 3 defender slate. It's not a 3 forward slate. So do you think you could play, who of the two, or what two do you take of the 3 of Verratti, Spinazzola, or Alaba?
Yeah. Very tough questions. I agree with you that if it wasn't Verratti, I wouldn't be going to one of those other Italy midfielders. I also agree that Jorginho is in play, though, because he's much cheaper.
Yeah.
Defenders, yeah. Do you play? I guess I haven't thought about that comparison. Should we move on? Should we move on to defender?
We absolutely can. Yeah. I mean, I think midfield and defender, like we know that James is going to be popular in cash. We know people are going to think about Alaba. And I think Verratti absolutely gets consideration. Like,
yeah,
after that game and the fact that he took some set pieces. And now, again, those were set pieces without Insigne and Berardi on the field. And so I think it's reasonable to think that all 3 of them could take, just whoever's by the ball closest. I don't think there's no monopoly situation in this one. So,
yeah. The more I think of it, Alaba seems like the safer option. Yeah. For a variety of reasons. The fact that he has all the sets, the fact that we're not sure about Verratti's minutes. Then you have Verratti playing for Italy. And $1,000 cheaper. That's going to be a decision. I think, my advice would be to, however you feel about that game, I guess. If you're on Italy, you like them, you think they're just going to smash Austria, yeah, it makes sense. If you think it's going to be low scoring, or even if you think Austria are going to be chasing for a while, yeah, Alaba, I'm starting to warm towards Alaba, I guess. That'll definitely be a decision. One guy I wanted to highlight for tournaments, the same guy we highlighted on the last slate, and he responded with arguably the goal of the tournament with respect to Patrick Schick's goal from inside his own half. But yeah. Mikael Damsgaard, 5,500, 20-year-old, exciting attacker, plays for Sampdoria. Transfer market has him valued at 12 million. He's the type of attacker that Denmark haven't had for a while, at least that I can remember in the last few years. They need his creativity. He can, produce something out of nothing, come up with a goal. We saw he took a beautiful touch and curled in like a 30-yard effort from the middle of the field. Goalie didn't even move. It was beautiful. But yeah, and it's a very cheap price. I compare him to Braithwaite and Paulson. Yeah, I mean, his goal scoring odds are not the same, but the salary's cheaper and he's playing for a favorite. Great tournament play, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a fun call. The only thing that I was hesitant on with Damsgaard was not like he's played 72 minutes in both of his appearances.
Right. He's absolutely not playing 90. If you're playing him for him to score or have the assist. So yeah, good point. Definitely keep that in mind. He's not going to get you there with a floor in 90 minutes. Yeah.
I mean, if they fall behind, and I mean, if they need to score, it seems like he should be on the field, right?
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
I guess it doesn't matter what we think, though.
Right. It doesn't matter what we think, coaches. Yeah. They'll want to bring in other attackers, fresh legs. I always think that too, though. Like, don't you want to keep your best players out there? But it seems like they usually think, oh, we're losing. This hasn't worked. Right. So it's time to make some changes.
So basically the same price is Pierre-Emile Højbjerg,
mm-hmm.
who will play 90 or 120 most likely,
mm-hmm.
Has been much more attacking for Denmark than he has for Tottenham and Southampton before that. Do you think that 90 to 120 of Højbjerg is better than 72 of Damsgaard?
It's definitely comparable. You can absolutely go to Højbjerg on this slate. He's shown a good floor. Denmark are going to be the more dominant team in this game most of the time. You're right. Guaranteed 90 minutes. And he does a bit of everything. So yeah, for the same price, he's absolutely safer. And he comes with goal and assist upside too. If you told me you preferred him to Damsgaard, I wouldn't have much of an argument.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, I was agreeing.
Yeah. No. I was just normally in situations like that, I'll lean with the guy who I think has more upside. Damsgaard, could have a goal and an assist in the first half, and sub him at 45 minutes for all I care. So, but yeah, I like both guys, both good prices. You're right. This isn't the Højbjerg that we see for Tottenham. Safe option, has upside too, definitely.
Okay, great. Yeah. I feel like after I said like there are no real midfielders I want to prioritize on the slate, we're getting like a ton that we're talking about here. But Yeah, we've got Jorginho at 4,300. I just believe somebody's going to win a lot of money with Jorginho in their lineup at some point. I don't know if it's this slate, but it's happening at some point in this tournament.
I agree. I think you can go to Jorginho again too. 4,300. He's even cheaper than he has been.
Yeah.
He's looked great for Italy. He's shown a floor. We're still not sure if he's on penalties.
Right.
There's a solid chance there's at least a chance that he is. And that's great for 4,300. We've seen a lot of penalties this tournament. He absolutely has assist upside from open play. I'll definitely have some Jorginho exposure. Good tournament play, and you can consider him in cash too, I think, if that's where your build ends up. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's reasonable if you end up there.
As like a utility, I don't know.
I think
I don't know.
You have to think that he plays more defensively low if Verratti starts, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, didn't even consider that it might be a bit different with him, Verratti, and Barella. Yeah, that's a good point. When Verratti wasn't out there, Locatelli had been playing sort of as the deepest lying of the three.
When we played him, and then when we didn't, he just balled out.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, though. It might change how they play. Maybe it doesn't give them as much open play value or as high as a floor, or as high of a floor. So yeah, maybe probably too risky as a cash play. Still great upside for tournaments if you can get a goal for 4,300. Like you said, Jorginho is waiting to make some people some money. It's going to happen.
Yeah, I think you said it perfectly though, that like Verratti's floor is definitely higher, but he doesn't have penalty upside. We still don't actually know Jorginho's penalty upside, but we know there's at least it's non-zero, which sometimes
it's definitely non-zero. Yeah.
Yeah. So defenders, are there any other midfielders you wanted to talk about? I feel like the Austria ones I'm not looking at, and I'm not playing Joe Allen. I don't think anybody's winning money with Joe Allen.
No, I don't think so. Not going to consider Joe Allen, but I think I got to just give a little shout out to Aaron Ramsey. We've seen him in a lot of goal scoring positions this tournament, and it's just one of those slates where there's probably not going to be a lot of goals. So if you get one, it's going to do a lot for you. If you get one from somebody that's low owned, it will do even more. So I absolutely think you can take a shot on a guy like Ramsey.
Great. I hate playing Aaron Ramsey.
Oh man,
you're right.
He tough roster. It's a tough roster, but there's upside.
Right. Yeah. There's upside. So defenders, we kind of mentioned Spinazzola before. Do you think that he is worth prioritizing because of his salary? You're basically prioritizing him.
Yeah. I'm not sure, to be honest. I'm not sure that he's better than Joakim Mela. I'm not. Look, Austria, we talked about how they don't necessarily give up too much. I mean, they're not going to just get run over in this matchup. Mela, for about the same price, is, he's playing. Yeah, Spinazzola plays high up the pitch, but Spinazzola's in a back four and Mela is in a back five, playing left midfield. Scored a great goal against Russia, took it very well on the counter. He's had, his game log looks great. He's crossing the ball, he's shooting the ball, he does everything. I don't know. I might prefer him over Spinazzola. I understand if you want to go with the Italy guy, like it makes a lot of sense. So I guess just in general, I think it's worth prioritizing one expensive defender. How do you feel about defender?
My cash game slave to set pieces had me looking at Daniel Wass, just because he should be taking them for Denmark. The $1,000 difference also played a little part in choosing him over. How are we pronouncing his name? Male?
I think Mela, yeah, Mela, something like that.
Yeah, I watched too many games on mute, so I don't get it. Although English announcers tend to butcher names too. So anyway, I think one of those two you should have in a lineup. Like they're favored. Wass at least has set pieces, but he hasn't been, quite as attacking. You can see on this cheat sheet here, their floors are pretty similar, and Wass hasn't had the upside, although it's really just a 1-goal difference. I think both are reasonable plays. There's a path to playing both of them, to be honest. In fact, they could be your only Denmark exposure. Like we haven't really talked about much. Like the Denmark forwards obviously could be popular if as a second, one of them as a second forward, but they're favored, and we really haven't talked about them much because I think these are the two guys that you probably want to prioritize if you want some Denmark in your lineup, certainly for cash games.
Certainly. Wass, that's an interesting one. He's a guy that I would love to go to until I see his game log, and he's played 60 minutes and 62 minutes in the last two.
Not
75
good.
In the first. I mean, I know it's a relatively small sample, but these are important games. I mean, you gotta think he's not going 70 minutes. Now, does it matter necessarily for cash? It hurts. He's still shown a good floor in that time. I mean, he, like you said, he's probably taking, he's taken, I believe, a monopoly of Denmark set pieces when he's been on the pitch.
Right.
Last game, the subs came in and took them. When he came off.
Literally his sub.
His sub, yeah, Striger Larson.
Yeah.
It's somewhere there that I would normally want to go. The minutes I don't love at all, especially, I just thought of the question you asked me to start off this podcast. What if that game goes extra time and you choose 60 minutes from Wass over 120 from another guy? It's not a situation that I would want to be in, but he's cheaper. Definitely think you could still go there.
I think the clearest thing there is, apologies for those listening, not seeing the cheat sheet up in the video here, but Wass and Mela have both played 3 games, and Wass has played 73 fewer minutes. Like, that's more minutes than he's played in a game.
That's a great point. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think you hit that. Like, if one of them is playing 120, it's not Wass.
Right. And like you said, that's something that could be important on this slate. So what I'm going to do, if I have the salary, and I may even prioritize having the salary, I'll probably go to a guy like, I'll go to Mela or Spinazzola. Like, I'll pay the extra salary for double-digit points rather than Wass's 7 points. For tournaments, yeah, he definitely has assist upside, being that he's on set pieces. So he can score a goal also. He shoots too, and he plays in an attacking position. So it's still a good play for tournaments. If I was making one lineup, yeah, I'd look to one of those. I'd look to one of the more expensive ones.
I don't think he starts because they don't have to start him, but Striger Larson's 4,500, and I think you could definitely play him. I mean, if he starts, he's going to be popular. Set pieces at that price, people will take that for 60 minutes and then, start cursing about it when they go 120. But
right, I agree though. If Striger Larson got a start, great price, he'd be popular, and he should be. Took the set pieces when he came in last game. Absolutely.
Is there any thought on? I mean, frankly, I consider literally all of the other defenders the same. Nobody else really stuck out to me.
Nobody else sticks out to me either. So I'm just gonna cross off the Austria defenders in this on this slate. Of course they're in play, but yeah, we talked about the Denmark defenders. Italy center backs, they look okay. They haven't allowed a goal yet. Clean sheet in every game. I feel like that's where people will go. Maybe Bonucci, 3,500, pretty cheap. Seems like a pretty good option. If you just want it, if you're just looking for someone else to consider, Connor Roberts has outside chance to be involved in a goal. I guess a better chance to be involved in a goal than Ben Davis, I would say. But yeah, no, these are just guys, not guys that I'm gonna have interest in either. My defender pool is probably going to be pretty small with the expensive guys we talked about, and then some center backs that fit with whatever keeper I'm playing. For cash, I just put in Bonucci. Where did you go at second defender?
I think that's probably where a lot of people go. That's kind of too cheap for a center back on a big favorite. I assume he starts. He played 90 the first two games and then came off at halftime of the third game, but that game didn't matter. But I guess you have to consider that if he doesn't, for some reason, 3,500 is so low that you're going to end up playing an Austria center back because there's no one cheaper on Italy. But yeah, I think that's where a lot of people go. But I think if anyone below him start, the Wales guys are under 3,000, whether it's Mepham or Rodon, I don't think there's a huge difference.
No.
Bonucci is probably just as likely to get a yellow card as he is a clean sheet. And so you have to consider that. But the floor differences on these guys are just so minimal that you're playing for them.
That's a really good point, actually, though. If going from Bonucci to one of those Wales guys, you save $800. If that's what you need to do to get to the lineup you want, then do it. Absolutely. Forget, we'd rather play Bonucci. He's on the favorite, better clean sheet odds. But if going to one of those 2,700 guys can help complete your lineup, that's what I would do. Good point.
Yeah. There's just the reasonable outcomes are so similar that I just don't
think
they're just all guys and they don't really do anything anyway. Although there's Rodon, Mepham right at the bottom.
Vestergaard. I was just checking out the Denmark guys' prices. Vestergaard, 3,100.
That's pretty cheap.
Okay. He's taken 4 shots in the tournament. He's scored some goals for Southampton. He's huge. So don't hate that for tournaments. Christensen saw his price raised after what a goal, Christensen.
Wonder goal, yeah.
I mean, that ball is still traveling.
Just ripped through the net.
Just a rocket. The Russia goalie, he hadn't even the ball was in the back of the net, and then he started to put his hands up. But yeah, too expensive for a guy like Christensen. Yeah. Those cheap Wales center backs are good. Yeah. Okay.
The one thing I would say is on a slate here where we have the potential for extra time, and obviously it's an issue with Denmark, but center backs, at least on better teams, tend not to get subbed.
Mm-hmm.
So they're more likely to play 120 than fullbacks that can get subbed off for more attackers. But
definitely.
But, there's no guarantee either of these games goes 120, but both of them could. So we got to.
Right. It's just something to consider. You're right. When we try to consider everything.
Right. So we talked about Donnarumma before. I'm not sure there's really anything else to say. I think if you're paying up, that's where you go, at least in cash. I guess I think Bachmann at 3,800 will be literally the least popular. It's a $500 to Danny Ward in the game with a very low total. And if people are playing, expecting Italy to do a lot, then, Bachmann could be popular, could be, he has the save upside, I suppose. But I feel like people who pay down probably, likely have the money to at least get to Ward at 4,300. But
you're right. I don't think there's much else to say about Donnarumma. We've said a few times that Italy are yet to allow a goal in this tournament.
I believe it's 11 straight games.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. 11 straight games then.
All wins too.
He's clearly the best option. Yeah, that's where you go. We've also said that expensive goalies are better on smaller slates and help your lineups more on smaller slates. So everything points to Donnarumma. All the way down. Yeah, and I agree. Then you can go to one of those guys in the Denmark-Wales game. The winning keeper in that game definitely has a chance to outscore Donnarumma. And Bachmann. He makes sense for tournaments because he's going to be the least popular. If that's the case, yeah, I would assume that's the case. But yeah, in the off chance that game's 0-0 and headed to extra time, I mean, he's going to smash even if they lose. So yeah, I don't mind Bachmann for tournaments, but Donnarumma is somewhat of a priority. Yeah, he's a priority on this slate.
Yeah, that's how I was looking at it. And kind of said at the beginning, like I think he can match a second Italy forward, and so if you can do that with 4,000 extra, or 3,000, 5,000, my guess. Yeah, like that's an absurd difference.
Absurd difference.
I was also going to say, like, using Bachmann because we expect Italy to be popular. Like, I think for tournaments, Bachmann makes a ton of sense. But also, I don't think, like, if you're saying I need some leverage against Italy, I think Bachmann does it enough. I don't think you need to stack like an Austria attacking stack. Like, if you think Italy's not going to be able to do anything, but if everybody's playing Italy, I'll play Bachmann, and then you could even just stack the other game. Like, I don't think getting a bunch of Italy or a bunch of Austria is necessary if you're just trying to get leverage off of Italy.
I agree. Completely agree. Bachmann would be enough. You don't have to, stack Austria or even pair them with multiple Austria guys. That's enough.
And is Schmeichel the overlooked one? Like, if you're going to pay up, just get the 500 to go to Donnarumma, but like Schmeichel is right there too.
Yeah, we see these guys that are on teams that are clearly, a notch below the favorite that we want to play. We see guys like that go overlooked all the time. Good call. Schmeichel's a great tournament play. Likely has a higher ceiling than Donnarumma. Bale's going to take shots when he can. There's save upside for Schmeichel. That game has a low total as well. So not only does he have upside, but he'll give you leverage too as being less popular. Love Schmeichel for tournaments. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. That was a long conversation about goalies when we only have 4 of them, but I think they all kind of offer something different. So nice that we went through them. All right. If anybody has any follow-up questions for me or Ryan, you can find us in the RotoWire Discord, which is open for all subscribers. Just go to rotowire.com/chat to join that. If you are not a RotoWire subscriber and want to try us out for free for 10 days, just go to rotowire.com/soccer trial. Gets you access to the entire site, so all the sports we cover, as well as that Discord chat. If you're watching this on YouTube and have enjoyed it, if you could please hit the like button below. And if you're listening to the audio version of the podcast, if you could please rate and review it wherever you listen. Saw a few new reviews on some different platforms, so thank you for those who have done that. Ryan, thank you for that, and good luck on Saturday.
Thanks, Andrew. Good luck, everybody.